Welcome to another episode of Pivotal Moments with Liletta. And as always, I'm excited to have another amazing person joining the conversation today. I have Tashina, who is a wellness coach. I'm sure she's going to get that. Correct me if I'm wrong in saying that. But just doing amazing things, of course, with empowering women and people and all about being naturally healthy. So I am going to turn it over to Tashina so that she can tell you in more detail the amazing things that she's doing. Welcome, Tashina.
I'm so happy to be here. I love to collaborate with other people, and I just love to have the opportunity to speak. So my company is Vivactiva, which I'm fluent in Spanish, and I teach in both English and Spanish. And so basically Vivactiva is like a contraction of active life. So, and that's pretty much been the only thing that's been consistent with me, that I've always been super, super active and try to throw a little bit of wellness and holistic stuff in there to keep me healthy while I am active. And so I do 1 or 2 classes per week, usually very free. And then I also do a Feel Good Friday in both English and Spanish, and that gets uploaded to my YouTube. So I have over 800 videos on YouTube from consistently doing that for 4 years, and 200 of which are in Spanish on things like natural ways to reduce high blood pressure. This time last year I did videos on how to get more vitamin C and how do we get more vitamin D and all the things that would help us stay healthy during the things that we've gone through for 2020 and 2021. And then currently I'm just documenting a lot of my current journey as far as getting better emotionally well myself, working on some core wounds, and dealing with fibroids, thriving while I find natural solutions to the things that I'm experiencing with that.
Wow. And I love it. And for those of you all who are watching, if you have not seen any of her videos, I strongly encourage you to do so because it's so informative. I've watched several of them and came away like, wow, I didn't know that, or that's such good information. So you definitely want to check that out. But let's get into the conversation for today about pivotal moments. So which pivotal moment will you be talking about today?
So as I was just thinking about what I do as far as holistic wellness, and when I talk about holistic wellness, they talk about the 8 dimensions of health, and I have a video on that. And so for me, that includes both emotional and mental, and there's some other things that you can, in addition to physical. And so I'm a holistic wellness and self-development coach. Like, those are the certifications that I have. But there were probably like 3 very pivotal moments. My first one was when I was 19 years old and I was in college, and I actually started to have flashbacks of the terrible childhood I had. So I'm very open. I tell people all the time I had horrible childhood, sexual, physical, and emotional abuse from the time I was like 5 years old. And it was so horrible that I blocked out my childhood. And so at 19, 20, I started to have flashbacks. I started to act out, had a really hard time. And I distinctly remember being in psychology class and hearing that my behavior was normal reactions to abnormal situations. And that gave me hope. And so I was in therapy for a little bit. I was on medication, but I didn't really like being on medication. So I had always been like a little bit into vitamins, and I have done track in high school. And so I on my own just started to look up a little bit of natural solutions. And I was only on a mild medication. I was on Paxil. And the reason I was on that is because I had been drinking too much at the time. And a lot of times that's what they suggest for you to, manage your emotions for a while. And so I don't have any biological dispositions, right? If you're bipolar, if you have some diagnosis, stay on medication. I would never tell anybody to not be on medication that needs to be on medication. I'm not a doctor, and I would never suggest that. But for me, I don't have a biological reason to be on medication. Therefore, I was able to start using things like St. John's wort and kava kava and natural things to balance my emotions, as well as make sure that I exercise on a regular basis and ate right. And so that was like the very start of where I was. My first pivotal moment.
Wow, that is, just talking about, what you went through, and then having that moment where you realized like, okay, this is this is a normal reaction to what I went through. And I think in any type of trauma recovery, that piece right there is so key. Understanding that how you feel, how you're reacting is normal to what you went through. That's kind of half the battle, right?
Absolutely. 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 And then just after that, I'm sure life gets in the way of everything. Like, you have so many intentions, and you're single and you're young and you're like, I'm going to look this good forever when you're in your 20s. And then you get married and life and work and bills and behind on bills and stuff. And being in the automotive industry, I kind of let that stuff go for like a while. I just went through life, and here in Michigan, being in the automotive industry, there's not a lot of people that are vegan at work, and a lot of, that's not really the culture there. Maybe if you were in a different environment, we get Buffalo Wild Wings once a week and pizza once a month, and we sustain ourselves on 4 cups of coffee and a neon color energy drink or Mountain Dew. Like, that's the culture. We exercise, but health isn't really. And so I got into that pattern, right? Working 60-hour work weeks and then trying to do all the spiritual things at the same time. And my health started to go down when I was in my 30s. And for me, mine was such a rapid succession that like I couldn't handle it. So first I got high blood pressure, which everyone in my group either had high cholesterol or high blood pressure. So it's like, okay, all right, I just get the medication for that and whatever. And then I started to have gut issues, and I ended up having a new allergy. So I had to have an elimination diet, and that helped me, start eating right. It was like, no, you can't have Taco Bell if you have ulcers. Like, that doesn't, you can't have, it's not going to work. And then 6 months after that, I was in an accident, 2 accidents actually, in a period of 3 months. And so I had body pain from that. I ended up in physical therapy for my knee for that. And then I started to have hormone issues in that time frame as well. And so that was the first time I actually developed fibroids. That ended up being the thing. And I got to the point where I was bleeding 25 days out of the month, plus all of the just, if you're on your period 25 days of the month, then that's there's emotional stuff, all that stuff, right? So I got to the fall of October 2014, and I was talking to everyone else in their 30s, and all of them had also had hormone issues. They all had body pain, and they all had something else going on. And I'm like, I don't think this is the way it's supposed to be. Why does everyone in their 30s feel like they're in their 50s? This doesn't make any sense. And so I wasn't exercising regularly at the time. I did a boot camp. I was out of town in September, Labor Day weekend, and I decided to do a 5-mile walk without training. And I was like, I have to change something. I got to start somewhere. So I did a 5-mile walk without training. That is just a little traditional thing up north. And then I joined a boot camp where I was going to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. Just to jumpstart my exercise, I bought a Wii U and started exercising on a Wii U regularly. And I started looking for natural solutions. I was just like, there's got to be some vitamins or some tinctures or something that can help me with my hormones and my mood and this, that, and the other. And then I actually stumbled upon essential oils and some related herbs and supplements. And my life was just radically changed. Like, there were things that helped me with the tension that I had. There were things that helped me balance my hormones. And there were things that helped me with food-based supplements that helped me have a lot of energy with the things that I was going through. And so that was when I started just like sharing more with other people in 2015, because I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to physically feel miserable. Like, there's stuff out there, even though I might have still had high blood pressure for a little bit until I worked that out, or even though I ended up having to have a minor surgery to remove the fibroids, I was able to get my iron levels up. I was able to function with energy. I was able to control my mood with natural things while I worked through whatever I needed to work through.
Wow. And, a couple of things that I'm just so glad that you're sharing. First of all, just sharing the journey in itself. But I love that what you just said, because I think sometimes people think, that they have to do either or. Either they do the natural route or they don't, So I love that you're like, let them work hand in hand. This actually helped you and prepared you for the things that had to be done that were not the natural route, like you said, the surgery and what have you. So I am so glad that you shared that.
Absolutely. You have to work with specialists. You have to get tested. Even now, I have fibroids again, and I'm working with specialists. But I'm changing my diet and I'm doing all these things. And I'm actually, they actually put me on one medication to reduce the heavy bleeding, because I mean, I can't bleed myself to death, right? Like you have to go to the specialist, and you have to do the things that, but again, I'm thriving. Like I'm able to live my best life. I have no pain, and I have no, I'm thriving while I'm doing it because I'm using the natural things to support.
Wow. So when we talk about the pivotal moment, and we always talk about that thing that is of central importance that you kind of learn from the pivotal moment, right? That unchangeable thing, that everything must center around that. So what would you say you discovered in this process, in this pivotal moment? What would you just say that you discovered was that thing?
The thing for me in each one of them, and even, I feel like I've had a more recent one, is that you have the capacity to get better. Like where you are today is never set in stone, right? Like, so I was drowning emotionally at 19 and feeling broken and feeling hopeless, and like, why did these things happen to me? And I was in class and was like, no. First of all, you're normal. This is how people react. Second of all, there's the reason why you react that way is because there's these psychological laws. And if you use those psychological laws in your favor, you can get better. And then the same thing in 2014, when I connected and started to get educated from other people and saw, no, I used to be here and now I'm here. So you can go here as well. And so like my last, like most recent pivotal moment was when we got into this situation right now. Like I actually in the end of 2016, my husband left unexpectedly, and I remained super, super busy. At the time, I had two brothers that were struggling with their emotional issues. I was supporting them. My business was taking off. I was doing all the things. I was still working, full time. I stayed super, super busy. And there were times that people would be like, don't you think you should slow down? Don't you think you... But that's my personality. I am a gregarious, extreme extrovert. I will always be a gregarious, extreme extrovert. And then in December of 2019, I had a friend that unexpectedly died. I didn't know. She was really private. And I found out that she died via Facebook from her kids. So that was a little bit devastating. And then in January, the very end of January, my maternal grandfather died. And then the end of February, my paternal grandfather died. And then I was like, okay, March, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to do the self-care because I know how to do that. I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to do all the things. We're going to heal. And the world shut down. And I was stuck at home by myself with my thoughts. And then I was one of the people in the automotive industry here, a lot of people, because the plants had to shut down, they had to, lay off some workers with reduced pay. It was the best situation ever because I didn't, my expenses went down and my pay went down a little bit, but it wasn't a worry for me. So from that standpoint, it was good, but I was stuck at home for the first time alone with my thoughts and by myself with not very much to do. And the first thing that I tried to do was to still ignore it. Like I would wake up and I would do all this education about holistic stuff, and I would go to bed at 2 a.m. and I tried to avoid my own thoughts for probably 3 or 4 weeks. But I was just extremely depressed. And at the beginning of it, it was just like, how am I here? Right? Like I'm already a holistic wellness coach. How am I this depressed? How is just sticking at home? Why is this so difficult just for me? But I didn't have time. I never took the time to process the negative things that happened in my divorce, why I chose a person that was emotionally abusive and then left me. I didn't have time I hadn't spent any time remembering what were my core wounds. What did I still have to fix? I didn't spend time thinking about, what did I really want to do when it came to my job? And so that was another pivotal moment it was a little bit of depressing, but because I had already done things before, I knew, you know what, you can get better. Like you don't have to stay here. It's not going to be, you're not going to feel like this all the time. And so I started actually learning even new techniques that I wasn't using before, like neuroscience techniques. Like there are very specific concentrated aromatherapy sessions that you can do with a practitioner that can help you reprogram. You know, it will give you your serotonin levels and endorphins, and you can reprogram. There are touch therapy techniques that you can do. There's music therapy. And so it just took my emotional knowledge of healing and wellness to a whole new level, because I had already learned in the past, you know what, you were here emotionally and you got better. You were here physically and you got better. There's always hope, and you can always get better as long as you get real with where you are and you're able to sit with that and then just start learning and start improving.
Wow. You know, Tashina, there are so many people who I know who are watching this who are going to be able to relate to exactly what you're talking about. And, you know, this show itself was birthed because of exactly what you're talking about. All of a sudden, everybody was kind of stuck, and we had to figure it out, right? We were stuck with all the things that we ignored, all the, you know, challenges in relationships and ourselves. Like everybody was kind of faced with that same point in their life. And I love what you said, because again, that's what Pivotal Moments is really about, recognizing that you have been here before. It looked different, but you have been here before. So you have what it takes to get through where you are now. And that's exactly what you did. You took what you went through way back when, and you were like, you know what? I have the tools and resources to actually get through this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. So let's talk about adjusting really quick. So adjustments, you know, that can take on a different tone, right? That's usually adapting to something that's uncomfortable, unfamiliar. Mm-hmm. So with all this, what were the adjustments for you? When did you have to make the adjustments?
So I honestly had to reach out and get support. And I don't think that I was doing, I would educate myself. You know, I would get books, and I would go to classes, and I would go to seminars and stuff like that. But the adjustments that I had to make in order to really dig deep was to get help. I had to get one-on-one help. So again, getting with an actual practitioner, because I had all these, just like I have a calendar full, right? Like, so I had a calendar full, and then all of that had to go online. And then all of a sudden people said, oh, and I want you to talk about emotions, because we can't go to the park. Like, I don't need you to talk about extras. Like, I need you to talk about grief, because people are dying here in Detroit. I need you to talk about grief. And I was like, that's not what I do. Like, on my YouTube channel, I don't even have a channel for emotional wellness. It says mental wellness, because I was so uncomfortable talking about emotions at the time. And so I had to go to a one-on-one practitioner and say, hey, can you help me like actually talk about emotions? Because I had anxiety the first time I was supposed to teach about grief. Like, I just had 3 people die. Like, you want me to like teach about this without like having a nervous breakdown? How am I supposed to do that? And so my adjustments was understanding, like, and I post all the time, like, every coach needs a coach. Like, if you really want to go to the next level and you really want to help like hundreds of people, like, you need to make sure that you are plugged in and you're getting your own help. So that was probably the biggest adjustment that I made recently, understanding, and it's going to look different for everyone. Maybe you just have a accountability partner that you meet with once a week. Maybe you have a friend that is a coach that y'all can exchange services. Maybe you actually pay for stuff. I've paid for probably, I don't know, $5,000 worth of one-on-one coaching or group coaching or just different things, because that's what I needed to get emotionally well and to take me to the next level. So that's really the adjustment probably that I've made in this period to make sure that I just stay elevated the whole time.
Wow. I just love the seat that I'm in, because, you know, and what people don't know who have not yet been in the conversation is that I tell people what we're going to talk about as far as the topics, but I never try to direct it because I want that, that goodness. I want to hear just like, because I'm receiving too. And Tashina, the things you have shared have just been so on point and so powerful. I just really appreciate your transparency. And as we come to the end of the conversation, what do you want to say directly to the viewers? What little golden nuggets do you want to leave, as if you haven't already dropped enough? What do you want to leave with those watching now?
I mean, just to reiterate, like, you are enough in this moment and you have the tools to move forward, and what you're feeling today doesn't have to be your normal. Like, if you just dig in, ask for help, and do the work, you will look back a year from now and be amazed at where you can be.
Awesome. Wow. Well, thank you so much. Of course, your information is there on the screen. Everyone, follow her, check her out in English and Spanish.
Yes.
And just again, Tashina, thank you so much for joining the conversation. This has been so encouraging and enlightening. And I definitely just look forward to seeing more of the things that you're doing, and the awareness and just emotional help and mental help and physical, all of it, right? Just the things that you're offering out there. So great job again on what you're doing.
All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Well, once again, this has been another amazing Pivotal Moments. So as always, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on Pivotal Moments with Liletta.